So good morning, everybody, and welcome to another of our Festival of Business webinars linked to the Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce Festival of Business month. This month, we, of course, cover across all of our divisions. This week is Sutton Coldfield, Lichfield and Tamworth, with today's event really focusing on our hospitality venues in Sutton Coldfield. So we'll come on to who we've got to hear from today in a moment. A quick introduction for those of you who don't know who I am. I head up the chamber in Sutton, Lichfield and Tamworth, and I also work sort of across the Greater Birmingham group, our parent group across the area. Most people on here are sort of current members, so you'll be aware of how the makeup of the chamber is, but it's always worth giving a quick sort of run through of that. So obviously Greater Birmingham Chambers is our sort of main parent group, and we've got the divisionals, so Birmingham, Solihull, Burton and District, Cannock Chase, Lichfield and Tamworth, and in our case, lovely Sutton Coldfield. We also have our themed divisions, which is Future Faces, which is for the young professionals across the district. So that's those aged 18 to 35. The Asian Business Chamber very much represents the Asian business community throughout Greater Birmingham, and is a great sort of source of diversity and promoting inclusivity across our group. And Andrew and the team there will also be involved in a number of our events through the next few weeks. Our Transatlantic and Commonwealth Chambers very much concentrate on international trade, and this month culminates with the International Trade Conference on the 23rd of June, which we'll come on to shortly in a moment. The Festival of Business is sponsored by Aston University. It's a great to have the university on side. They really do support so many of our events throughout our event programme. And if you are on social media, hashtag GBCC FOB21 is the hashtag. So we'll come on to our upcoming events. Friday the 4th of June, as of today, is the application deadline for the Greater Birmingham Annual Awards. I know Moor Hall have been successful over the years, and we'll come on to Moor Hall in a moment in those awards. So, and I think numerous people on the call actually have been involved, including Mark and Katie at the Belfry and Caviar and Chips. So if you do, I know you are planning to get your applications in for the awards, which do start, do take place at the end of July, and please make sure your application is in today. Mentioned about the Festival of Business for Solihull, for Cannock and for Burton continues this month, again with the International Trade Conference on the 23rd, or the Global Trade Conference I should say, as the sort of culmination of those. So please do see the website for more details and more events taking place. Finally is the quarterly business review with Dr. Justin Varney, the Public Health Director of Birmingham City Council. That's on the 24th of June. And I would certainly hope by that case we have some clarity on the restrictions and the lockdown situation that we are obviously probably going to touch on a little bit in the next half an hour, but not too much. Let's look forward rather than back to a certain degree. So thank you all for attending. COVID-19 support grid, as briefly mentioned, please do continue to look at that if you are a business owner or a business person in the area. It's a really important part of what we've done with to support our members. Now really looking forward in terms of the business grants and recovery grants that are available across our local authorities, through the LEP, through the various councils that we work with. So well worth looking at that support to businesses and charities on our website. We'll go on to today's format. So you'll see we've got some esteemed guests in the hospitality sector across Sutton Coldfield. We're welcomed by Angela Burns, Chief Executive of Moor Hall Hotel. We're welcomed by Katie Niland, Sales Director at the Belfry, and then Mirdo Budiaci, the Operations Manager of Lea Marston Hotel. All those three venues have been a massive support to the Chamber over the years, both from a Sutton Coldfield point of view, but also widely across Greater Birmingham. And of course, has been a really difficult and uncertain time for many hotels and many venues. But it's really good to have them here today to really talk about what they've done, how they've managed to sort of get through and be really positive through the last 12 months, and how they can look forward in a positive way to the coming months and years. We also have a Q&A, which will be after the presentations, hosted by Mark Hornby of Caviar and Chips, who is with us today as well. Mark is a member of our Sutton Coldfield Executive Committee. Caviar and Chips won the Sutton Coldfield Business of the Year Award 2 years ago, I believe, at the SLT Awards. And Mark, as another esteemed member of the hospitality business community across Birmingham, will be giving his knowledge and his much more knowledgeable questions than I could ever expect, or so I say. So no pressure on you there, Mark. If you have got any other questions alongside Mark's, please do use the chat box. Please do use that as a way to discuss some of the things that have been sort of shared with you during the presentations. In the last sort of 3 days, we've had quite a few events, one event a day, and they've been really good where people have sort of shared their views during the conversations and during the presentations. Please do use that. Following the presentations and the Q&A at around about 9:15 to 9:30, there'll be a short 5-minute interval before we look to, before we press stop on the record, most importantly, and then we can have a more of an informal discussion about some of the themes raised. And you can also introduce your business and tell us a bit about yourselves, those people on the webinar. Delegate list, presentations, the recording of the webinar will be sent to all registered delegates. That says tomorrow. I don't think Jess works on a Saturday in our events team, so it will be on Monday, but that will be sent round and you can follow up with those people on the call. So that's all good. My wonderful daughters are now downstairs having the breakfast, so they haven't caused too much trouble as they've woken up this morning. So we'll, with that, we'll pass over to our first presenter today, who is Angela Burns. I say at Moor Hall Hotel. We went and spent a bit of time at Moor Hall with our committee a couple of weeks ago. It's looking absolutely resplendent on there. I'm going to guess 60th anniversary. Is that right, Angela? I hope I've got that right. Yes, I have. I'm sure you'll mention that on the presentation. So, Angela, it's a pleasure, and over to you.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. So you have to bear with me. Technology is not my strong point, but good morning to everyone. I'm just going to talk a little bit about Moor Hall, but it is a small part of a group that we are a family group. We have 4 hotels and a pub. We're still very proud to be family owned. And as Chris said, we are celebrating 60 years this year of being family owned. So we bought the hotel in 1961. This is an early picture. You can see our old logo. We were a country club when we first bought Moor Hall, but it just had the main building and 17 bedrooms with only 1 ensuite bathroom. Since then, we've grown to a much bigger property now, and obviously I'm talking about Moor Hall, not the rest of the group. But we have got a few celebration events this year for our 60th anniversary, and we support charity every year. And this year we're supporting Breast Friends, which we've supported quite a few times, but it's a charity that's very close to our heart. So although we've only going to have 6 months of fundraising, 6 months of events, we still expect we're going to do it in style. So when the national lockdown was announced, we did choose to close. In hindsight, I think maybe we could have stayed open. There was a lot of worry, though, about nobody really knew that if we started taking doctors, nurses, or people that might have COVID, how that would affect our staff and our team. It was a big decision to make. You can see on these pictures, the hotel since 1961 has never been closed. It's a 24-hour business. 7 days a week, and you could see we cleared everything for security, and it was a bit bleak. The family moved in to the hotel to sort of maintain security. We had teams working from home. We maintained our sales, marketing, revenue team because initially it was all about cancellations. Everybody was phoning to say, I've booked, what are you going to do about it? I've got gift vouchers that expire, and the telephone calls were overwhelming, really. So we needed that support to really sort of get through that initial period. Lots of people asking for deposits back, lots of weddings, obviously very nervous. So we did keep a small team working from home. But in May, the family looked after the hotel. That's myself, my daughter, and my son. And we just did a rota to sleep in the hotel and be around for anything that was going on. During lockdown, it gave us a chance to do some other things. In fact, Sutton Library contacted us and asked us if we would do a history talk of the building. I always say yes to everything. I'm very good at saying no. And I said, oh, yes, fine, we'll do that. And then I thought, we hardly know anything about the history of Moor Hall. We know odd little bits about the building. You know, Bishop Vesey lived here, and the present building was built by Colonel Ansell and that sort of thing. But we didn't know a huge amount. And we were going to be asked to speak on the history of the building for 40 minutes. So we spent quite a lot of time learning about the history, doing lots and lots of research. And that was really interesting, gave us something to really focus on. So we've got a much better idea now of the building and the history, you know, right back to the 1300s, which has been really good. Lots of research. We maintained a team using the furlough scheme. We have a staff communication tool called Flow, and we contact staff on a regular basis. We gave them some training modules to do. We kept talking to them about what was happening in the hotel, how we saw things going. And so we tried to maintain communication as best we could. So when it came to July, we opened again. Eat Out to Help Out was huge for us. Afternoon teas were very, very popular, particularly in July. We did a lot of outside dining, although we could eat inside. A lot of people wanted to eat outside. There's still a lot of nervousness around. We socially distanced our tables, so we've probably got 50% of the tables in there, and that's still happening now. But compared to 2019, we did 90% more afternoon tea covers in the Eat Out to Help Out month than we did in 2019. So it's a huge increase. That people wanted to come out, they wanted to spend money, they wanted to socialise, but afternoon tea was by far the most popular. We did a lot in the restaurant as well, but afternoon tea was very, very busy. And I think part of the reason that afternoon tea was so busy was that we did things a little bit differently. So we put a tent onto the lawn, the rainbow tent, and we did private parties in there. For small birthday parties, baby showers, girls get together. People with children's birthday parties. So it was very popular and really a great idea, because we've got a car park down on this side of the hotel that we're looking at, and people could park on the car park, walk across the rainbow tent, and have their event there without any contact with any other people at all. So it was really, really popular, built people's confidence in coming out. And along with the rainbow tent, we did a rainbow afternoon tea, which you can see there, just to sort of tie the theme in. And as I said, afternoon tea was very popular, but we've never done takeaway before. So in the lockdowns, we moved on to takeaway afternoon tea. So we did that every Sunday. It wasn't busy enough to do it in the week, but we did a takeaway afternoon tea every Saturday. We did special ones on Valentine's and Mother's Day and Easter. Huge increase. I mean, we did about 150, I think, afternoon teas for Mother's Day. Really busy. We did deliveries as well. I spent my Mother's Day driving around Sutton and Erdington delivering afternoon teas, which was quite fun. I learned a lot about the local area that I didn't know, that's for sure. Other things that we've done differently. Christmas, we decided to, because of the nervousness still of people wanting to mix, we decorated some of our bedrooms as Christmas themed rooms. So families could come in, and we decorated the door as we went into the room, and then each Christmas room had a Christmas tree with fairy lights, presents for the kids. So they could just sort of keep inside the room if they wanted to. When we launched the Christmas rooms, we got the largest ever social media reach that we've ever had. And all the rooms we had available sold out in 4 days. It was absolutely mega. Unfortunately, when it came to Christmas, we couldn't use many of them because we went back into lockdown, but we're going to do it again this year because it was so popular. Outside dining, since we've come back to outside dining since this year, we've created more space. We've put a marquee on the lawn. This little pagoda started off years and years ago as a smoking shelter, Then it got taken over by weddings who wanted pictures in the pagoda because it's quite pretty. And we've now converted it into private dining. So people can book that privately for 4 to 6 people and have afternoon tea or whatever, or birthday party or whatever, which has been very popular. We've also introduced a Lays and Greys, which is just a box of meats and cheeses. We give them a rug and they can sit out on the garden and just have a picnic, basically. So we provide the drinks and the service and the food, and they just turn up and sit and have a nice picnic. It's been very popular, the Greys and Lays. Well, the sun's been out, obviously not quite so popular. Gift vouchers, we've been selling gift vouchers all through the lockdowns. And when we've been open last year, we saw £70,000 worth of sales during each of the lockdown periods. So it's been a steady stream of sales. As with everybody else, we've had to extend the expiry date of the vouchers. So, we keep doing it. We keep saying this is going to be the date of them, and then we're still in lockdown and we've extended them again. So people have had sort of 2 years on their gift vouchers at least. But, we don't want to make money from gift vouchers. The whole point of having a gift voucher is introducing people to the hotel that maybe not have been before. So we want them to come and use their gift vouchers. Refurbishment, we did quite a lot of refurbishment during lockdown. Not major refurbishment because there's a small family-owned business. We don't have huge pockets, but and we obviously had to safeguard cash as best we could. But we did do some sort of titivating of rooms, soft furnishings, new lighting. Biggest expense was the corridor carpet, which is a big long corridor that goes, well, it's virtually the whole first floor of the building. So that was quite expensive. But the rest of the stuff has just been painting and light refurbishment to make the rooms look a bit more sparkling. And then TripAdvisor, you can see we've had quite a lot of good feedback. I think people feel confident when they come to us that, we have taken COVID seriously. We have maintained social distancing. We're not trying to cram people in. We're making sure that there's plenty of space between tables. We could probably get a few more in than we have actually got in. But we want people to feel safe, and we want people to realise that, it is a safe environment to come. We have plenty of eating areas. We have plenty of little breakout areas, little snugs, little lounges, and also so much more outside dining than we ever had before. So, you can see from these TripAdvisor reviews that, that's what people are really interested in, how we're managing and how we're maintaining safety. And that's what we're doing. And that's it. Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Angela. That's wonderful, and what a great, great story around the social media coverage from the Christmas room. That sounds like a really, key and interesting point, and I'm sure Mark will come on to that in the Q&A in terms of some of those sort of social media successes that perhaps, you wouldn't usually have had if it hadn't have happened. And we're trying to look as positive as possible. And it's really interesting. Now, wonderful, Angela. Thanks so much. And yes, the Lays and Greys sounds great. I think I might be taking that up at some point in the next few weeks. So wonderful. Well, now, Angela, we've got Katie now with us now. So Katie Niland from the Belfry again. A really big supporter of the Chamber and the local business community in terms of some of the events you've hosted historically with us and with other businesses. It's fantastic to have you here, and we look forward to hearing some of the things that you've been getting up to, and looking to work on during lockdown and into the future. So, Katie, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Angela, how do I follow all of that? Fantastic presentation. It's great to be here this morning. Thank you, everybody, for getting up so early. Hope we all managed to keep you awake and engaged and you don't need too many mugs of coffee. I'm Katie Niland. I have the great privilege of being a sales director at the Belfry Hotel and Resort. Sort of what I'm going to sort of talk you through today is a bit about what happened when COVID arrived on our doorstep, pre-COVID, what we did during that time, and how we came out of it, and really, I guess, very importantly, the opportunities that have arisen out of that. So it is that, you know, as Chris has said, this is all about the recovery. So what we're doing out of that. So the impact, 4 key areas for us. It obviously the customers, the asset, which is, you know, our biggest value, the team who look after this asset, and equally our owners. So we you know, we're owned by a capital company, an American company. So, you know, again, you know, we're accountable to them. So we started seeing the effects in February, as I'm sure you all experienced. Just to give you an idea of how we were looking for 2020, 2020 was going to be our best year since we did the development. We started the year with 55% of our business, of our budget on the books. So that was an awful lot of business starting. We hit our budget in January and February. And then, of course, then March came and hit us. So the 4 areas that we had to look at was customers, all of that business we had on the books, the asset, the team, and our owners. So from a customer's perspective, how are we going to engage with our customers pre-lockdown, managing that message, and obviously during lockdown? So I guess, like, you know, most of the hotels, we set up a team. We engaged with our IT department. So, right, how can we set up a team to work from home? We made sure we had all of that technology, all of the equipment ready to go. So a lot of work went into the background. As you can imagine, there's channeling and funneling of phone lines, and how we're going to get, you know, central lines going through to individual numbers. So everyone was set up with laptops and mobile phones and desk phones to work from home, etc. So there was a key team. There was 2 teams: the working from home team. So you know, we're fortunate we have a very large sales marketing team here. We kept the senior account directors from the sales team because they had the direct access to the customers. And then we kept the resort desk open, again, on limited staff. You know, we weren't able to keep everybody. So we selected the executive team, and then obviously the key people that were going to be liaising with customers. We also kept our accounts team working because they needed to obviously pay, you know, our suppliers. We needed to make sure that our agents got their commission payments, etc. And then there was the working on site team. So we went out and asked for some very willing volunteers, obviously, to stay on site for this whole time and make the site COVID secure. So there was a team that you can imagine in our setup. We're a resort. We've got 500 acres. So we have 3 golf courses, an estate, as well as the hotel. So we needed a large team on site to make sure that the asset was protected. And that was from also security. That was a massive issue as well. We had to make sure we had a big security team on site. So from, you know, internal and external, that was the team, and they stayed here throughout all of lockdown, you know, not seeing their family. So that was a very big ask, and, you know, it was really good. We obviously made sure chefs stayed on, so they were fed very well. So there was lots of barbecues. Everyone became a greenkeeper. So there was an awful lot of skills, new skills being added. So we had the work from home, and then we had the on-site team. Obviously, then we engaged and utilised every single bit of furlough and support that we could get from the government to make sure that we kept, you know, the rest of our very important team members. Unfortunately, there were redundancies, so we started with those under 2 years, and that's how, you know, we selected it at the very beginning. That was the fairest way. And then the next bit was our owners. You know, we were very, very fortunate. We had a very understanding, supportive ownership, but it was how we were going to communicate with our owners. So very early on, I had a call from America saying, "Are you worried about what's coming down the line?" And I said, "I'm very worried. What are we doing about it?" And, you know, we had that conversation, and then we just set up then, there was 3 senior directors here that we then communicated with our ownership, set up the weekly calls, set up the daily reports, so they knew exactly what was going on. So that trust was there from the beginning as well. You know, we were telling them what was going on. It was very important that we had their support. So, you know, that was a crucial part of how we were going to, you know, get through this. So what measures then, we were in the thick of it, what measures were we going to take to mitigate COVID-19? First one, revenue. So as you can imagine, with all that business on the books, as Angela referred to earlier, the phone started ringing, people were talking about cancellations. So, we had a pot of money that we needed to protect, as well as our customers that we need to protect. We'd worked very hard to get all this business in. We weren't just going to let it go, just let it disappear. So the team was set up to basically work on rebooks. So it was all about rebooks. We managed to rebook 60% of our cancellations. When I'm talking about the group, the contract cancellations, obviously there's transient cancellations and leisure guests, which is very different, but equally we applied the same measures to those. But from a corporate perspective, we rebooked 60%, and of the deposits that we were holding, you can imagine how much deposits we were holding for that amount of business that we had coming into the year. We only ended up refunding 4% of deposits. And that wasn't through aggression or any, bad will or greed. It was through working with our clients and rebooking and, saying, right, we'll move your booking. And I'm sure most hotels, we had to rebook some events 3-4 times over. We were very naive in the beginning of we'll rebook it till April, May. And no, that didn't happen. Then it was moved further down the line. And then, of course, our business gets booked 6-12 months out. 18 months out. So we're looking at a very, very long window. So we were looking at, 12 months, 18 months ahead. So the rebooks were going into 2021, 2022, 2023. Weddings, of course, was a very different story. The team became therapists and wedding counselors and marriage guidance counselors. It was such an emotive time. So we made sure we kept that special events team on. They needed that link to the people they'd been dealing with, not a corporate type of account manager. So that was very important to us. And again, we worked very close with them. Those that needed the deposits, of course we did. But equally, we worked to rebook it to make sure they got the date they wanted next time. So that's how we operated, the revenue side of things. Then operating costs, how are we going to mitigate the costs? So, we took waivers, we took business rate waivers, 3 to 6 months waivers on contracts, the business rates, etc. So again, we utilized everything possible to put a stop on the cost to make sure that we weren't losing as much money. You have a fixed payroll that we needed to cover. Everything else went on the back burner. So that's how we sort of handled that. And of course, then, as any big business is, you look at the long-term efficiency gains. So we worked very hard on looking at, okay, well, what have we actually saved on? What can we do during lockdown? So we looked at restructuring. We invested in our technology. We were able to do upgrades to software that we use in the hotel. When we're open, it's very difficult. We updated our CRM system, so we spent a lot of time looking at that. We had to go to cashless. So we increased automations, made it a paperless office. That was really key. And so, okay, well, what worked then that we can actually carry through? And we created this project flow through to show to our owners, we're taking this opportunity to look at how we can use this moving forward. Looked at our energy, our BMS scheduling. So we utilized the knowledge that we gained, on minimum base during closure, just to see what we could, carry through. So that's sort of how we got through those, 3 areas to mitigate. And we actually ended up making a profit last year, which, it was very unusual and we're very proud of. And then sort of that then takes us to the opportunities that arose. So it was a hard time, and it was very clear that we needed to make sure to concentrate on what we can do, not what we can't do. And that's how we approached it. So what were we able to sell to? What were we able to open up for? We were very fortunate. We have golf courses. So we opened up sooner than others because we opened up golf. So we're able to start getting our hotel opened up. We were able to take advantage of European tour events. So in the past, to host a big European golf tour event would be very expensive for us. Whilst we're closed, the displacement is not as big. So we were given the opportunity both last year and this year. And, that gave us incredible exposure, great PR, really put the Belfry back on the map in the European tour golf arena as well. So that really helped us. How could we showcase our hotel? We set up our virtual tours, so the team were able to do show rounds from home and not just looking at a brochure, they were able to see it live. The football, the beautiful game of football really saved us. So we're very fortunate where we were. We were able to work with Villa for the Villa fans out there. And when Premier League opened up, obviously the hotels weren't open up, they needed a place to stay, so they were able to come on site whilst we were closed, and we were able to two things. It was revenue generation, which was great, but secondly, our team, we had to get the accreditation from the Premier League for our COVID. So what we had, worked very hard to do, it gave us an opportunity to actually, work with the COVID guidelines and protocols and deliver them safely and give us that practice before we opened up to the public. So that was really important for us, and that really helped us open up in a very safe and secure way. The small meetings market, something we never really worked with, that was allowed. So it's okay, how do we market to that? And then we're able to set up online bookings. So we never were able to book online before. We set our system up to take online direct bookings for small meetings, but it's a new market for us, and we've gained so many new customers. Our repeat customers, about 60% of our business is repeat. And that's in the large function market. So the small meetings, we were able to meet lots of new clients who've then stayed with us along the way. So that's been a fantastic opportunity for us. When everything was seriously locked down, the only way was virtual. So we set up our Belfry Live and Belfry Studio to host virtual meetings. So businesses were able to still continue doing business, but in a very safe way. Obviously, there's a big cost to that. We were able to work with our AV providers, and at a low cost base to us, they put the equipment in alongside us, and then we sold it. So we didn't have a massive outlay, which enabled us to do that. And again, that kept us relevant. That kept us in the industry press. It gave us loads of things to talk about, and that was equally as important. What can we talk about during lockdown? What can we still keep, the Belfry reputation and name out there? Charity was again very important to us. We're very fortunate that we have an awful large charity golf here and charity dinners, so they weren't allowed to happen. So these charities that rely on us to have those golf days each year were obviously missing an awful lot of revenue. They had no opportunities to raise money. So we said, the day we open, we would donate the green fees to the charities that have their golf days with us. And that was very important for us. Our ownership were very supportive of doing that as well. And, that was our way of supporting both the charities and equally our customers. So that was, that was a key thing. And then from there on, the opportunities we have, we looked at how do we develop the hotel, what can we put in? And we spoke about outdoor hospitality. We have new areas for outdoor hospitality now. We've got the 19th green, which is really exciting. All our corporates are saying we want outdoor hospitality. We're very fortunate on 500 acres, so we're adapting all our outdoor space to be able to facilitate outdoor hospitality. We put in top tracer into the driving range to make golf became the safest sport. The golf is growing more than any other sport now, so we've really capitalized on that and just making sure that the golf experience is fun for everybody. So in our driving range now, we've put in top tracer, which is superb. And then we stayed open, and Angela said this to us, all of these things that we did enabled us to stay open. So during each lockdown, when hotels hadn't taken advantage of what they could do and what wasn't out there or didn't have the facilities, when you close, the decision to open is very, very hard, because the finance director will say, well, we haven't got enough money to cover the operating costs. Because we had business before we opened, because we were fortunate to have all these revenue streams, we said, let's just open up, and because we can't sell a closed hotel. And that was what I was saying most of the time to the guys, and that's what we did. And that was a very important thing to us, that we stayed open then from there on. And then when we opened properly, when things were restricted, how 21 is looking now, we're pacing ahead. We base ourselves on 2019 because we don't, look at 2020. We're pacing ahead of 2019, which is fantastic. We are full. You can't get a full ball now at the weekend on the Brabazon until October. You can't stay on a Saturday night until the end of September. Our corporate clients have all come back, and we've got new ones, which is just fantastic. And, you know, again, 2019 to now, corporate wise, the return has come back massively from September. You know, our concern now is actually Q1 of 2022. So we're going to hit our budget, which we wrote November last year. We're on target now to hit our budget for 2021. It's now what 2022 looks like for us. 2021, we're benefiting from the rebooks. 2021, we're benefiting from the staycation market. We have seen, I know we'll probably talk about later, we've seen that mix change, that segment mix change. So midweek, we're a very corporate, and weekend, we're a very leisure business. Now, you know, there are children running around and there's businessmen running around. You know, there's women having spa treatments, there's people on the golf courses. So the mix has definitely changed midweek. We are, you know, there's a lot of leisure now coming. We're very fortunate to take advantage of that staycation market. We're very lucky to have a foothold in the leisure market anyway. We didn't have to turn the hotel into something it wasn't. We just opened up the doors midweek to that. So, you know, it's very positive. It's great for the whole area. You know, all of these visitors coming in, you know, are where our customers come from. They're all over the UK. They're all coming into the Midlands, you know, and so everyone will benefit from these customers. So that's, I think, I'm probably over on the time.
Oh, that's great. Right on the dot. No, that's absolutely great. Thanks so much, Kate. You know, it's really good. It's interesting to see that difference. And we know that the golf side, excuse me, at the Belfry is a huge thing. I've hacked my way around that course many a time, and it's a fantastic area to have. And yeah, the European Tour events, you know, are really positive part of the business, and certainly shines such a positive light on the area as a whole as well. So, Katie, that was absolute pleasure to have you speak, and thanks so much for giving that insight. Mark, if I could bring you in on the Q&A. So we have Mark Hornby with us from Caviar and Chips. So Mark is a very experienced hospitality owner himself. So Mark, I just wanted to pass over to you now for the Q&A while we wait for Mirdo to come back and join us. Just give us an idea of some of the questions you wanted to ask Katie and Angela on the back of those two really positive presentations, and we'll bring back Mirdo in as well. If there is anyone else on the call who does want to ask any questions, please do use the chat box, and we'll get some of the questions answered as well. So Mark, over to you.
Hey Chris, thanks so much for that. Nice to speak to everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning, and thanks you so much to Angela, Katie and Mirdo as well for presentations, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from Mirdo. I think, you know, even before we started, I had like a list of, I don't know, maybe a dozen questions. And then as you guys have been talking, it's made me think, I want to ask you so much more. I think, you know, even before I heard about your businesses, your brands, kind of like your reputations kind of like come before you guys. You know, you have incredible businesses, and so fortunate and lucky to be able to run them. And I think it shows such a positive light about the area that we're in. Like, we're in the Midlands and we have these incredible places that we can just skip down the road and stay. Why would you go anywhere else around the world? I think we're incredibly fortunate to be here, and you guys representing our county and our region. I think it's been really interesting reading some of the comments, and thanks everyone for like dropping in your comments, and please do carry on asking your questions. Some of the things that came to my mind is that, crikey, it almost shows that, dare I say, that COVID was good for business. I don't know if I want to say that, but kind of like, it's almost like forced lots of businesses to think differently, quickly. And I think, again, your brands are enormous, massive businesses, 500 acres, crikey. And then you kind of think how agile you've been, and you switched things on so quickly. And then you're saying about how incredibly successful it is. So one of the first questions that came to my mind is, how do you keep on that innovation? How do you keep on that rate of pace of change, and so you don't stagnate? Maybe I'll start with Angela, because you had just like loads of different ideas that were coming out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It has made us think differently, and we've done things that I'm sure we wouldn't have done had we just been in the normal cycle of business. You know, because you just keep doing more of the same. You're successful, and you just keep doing more of the same. Casey's absolutely right. We've done quite a lot of small meetings as well. That's been very profitable for us. You know, I'm sort of looking at, you know, as I said, we shut in the first lockdown. You know, whether that's right or wrong, who knows? But we didn't shut after that. So, you know, we did shut until the 4th of July, and then we remained open. And that's helped our corporate side, definitely. And we obviously hugely benefited from European golf a few weeks ago as well, which I'm so pleased we were open for that. That was really good. It was also good testing for us because it sort of showed us how to get things right before we open to the leisure side of our market the following week. So that was good. But yeah, I think, you know, we're quite, as a small company, we're quite forward thinking. You know, I mean, we were the first hotel in the Midlands to have televisions in all the rooms. Yeah, years and years ago. We've always been quite a forward-thinking company. We've always adapted quickly to circumstances. And being a small family-run hotel or small group, you can move very, very quickly. And I'm quite impressed with how the Belfry have moved very quickly, because that's not always the case with big companies. So, you know, we've always found that, you know, one of our strengths. I mean, it's nice to know that, you know, big companies have done the same. But yeah, you know, we're still doing takeaway afternoon teas. That, you know, we're making afternoon teas anyway for people coming in, so we might as well do them takeaway as well if people want. And yeah, a few of the, you know, rainbow tents back out again this year. You know, we'll do some of the things, and we'll think of other things to do as well.
Sure. Cool. Thank you so much. I think just before Mirdo's back with us, but just before we go to Mirdo, Katie can ask you a quick question as well. So back in the day, I was a sales guy as well, so I love the sales team. I mean, sales brings everything in, doesn't it? But I'm incredibly biased, as I'm sure you are too.
As am I.
But again, amazingly, just hearing your story, like how you've mobilized everybody and kept everyone going and giving them the infrastructure so they can still do it from home, and give them the tools so they can still talk about your business really confidently. What I was curious about is, like, again, you've just introduced so many things. How would you talk about your sales pitch, your elevator pitch, if you like, back in 2019 versus like how you talk about it now?
I think what's really interesting is we've such a diverse customer base anyway, and what we've found, so we would pitch to the customer, whoever that customer is. So our hotel lends itself to whoever we're talking to. So if it's the corporate client, it's all about what this hotel offers the corporate client. If it's the leisure one, it's a completely different pitch. And obviously it's done in a different way. It's marketing rather than, you know, a sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of our pitch now, it's not just about hosting somebody's event. It's about actually the safety of somebody coming here. It's about it's the preamble before someone arrives is so much different. It's about that we will look after them. It's about the terms and conditions. It's about the nervousness. So it's actually more about how we'll look after them before they even get here, rather than the actual event itself. You know, people know what's going to happen when they come here now, and it's what's going to happen if something then changes in the outer world. So the pitch is about our relationship and the trust that they'll be looked after should something happen again, should there's a local light. So that's what's changed. The questions have changed. So we don't really pitch a product until we know what the customer is wanting. And so it's about assuring them. It's about the safety and the assurances now that they're going to be okay. And I think that's what's really changed in how we sell.
That's really interesting. Thank you for that. Cool. It looks like we've got Mirdo back. Mirdo, do you want to pick up where you were with your presentation?
Yeah, sorry, I was expecting my internet connection.
That's okay.
Economy started at the beginning, that put me off track.
You're fine, no worries.
I'll go back to my last slide. So yeah, we've tried to focus on the people profit product for our business. We didn't have anything, profit would come afterwards, and the product, you wouldn't be there without the first two. So during lockdown, we've tried to focus on the refurbishment. We had some issues, obviously, with the maintenance side of things, with everything being closed for so long. However, we've done everything there. So we tried to have everything in place in between. We are run by a management company, Mitchells & Taylors, which actually has a lot of support in place. So we knew that once we reopen, everything will be so busy. So we had to try to do everything beforehand from a building perspective. Throughout lockdown, it actually worked out for us because we have stayed open. We worked on a caretaker team basis with 2 of us on every shift. And we have picked up, Emma has done brilliantly, as I was saying earlier, and she has picked up some contracts, and we have been busy throughout, to be fair. And it kept us on our toes, to be fair. So all of us have been match fit throughout. So we try to change as well the team so everybody could have a bit. And instead of having everybody on furlough, we have tried to keep some of the team as well throughout this caretaker team, so they have a bit of action and be match fit. And look, this approach, we managed to create a base of corporate business throughout, and we have a returning guest at the moment, which has helped massively, and it still helps at the moment. And yeah, it's been okay for us throughout lockdown. And since reopening as well, it's been challenging because leisure guests have been challenging, to say the least. But there is demand, and we have been really busy. Corporate-wise, it hasn't been as busy, but it is picking up. There is interest. Mainly weddings would have been our main M&E business, would have been the weddings that we had to postpone from last year. And now we have lots from this year that we booked initially. And with the cancellations from last year, we are actually quite busy having weekends every weekend, weddings every weekend. Golf has been busy throughout, like Belfry, Katie was saying, we have been able to open earlier, so that's been a success as well because we've done some refurbishment as well there, so that has worked out well for us. And the main issue at the moment would have been the recruitment, and it still seems to be. I was talking with an agency the other day, and they said 800,000 chefs have left the industry. And there's around 20,000 jobs advertised at the moment, but it's so hard to find any staff. And I think the whole industry has been all over the news, is going through the same challenges. So that would be the biggest focus at the moment for everyone to find a way of doing it. I strongly believe within 6 months' time, we will be in a better position and we will be able to recruit some staff. However, at the moment, it seems to be like a mission impossible, to be fair. Opening 2021, it has been a success for us, and it seems to be continuous busy. We have had a full occupancy almost throughout this half term, which was nice to see. People still have high expectations, and yeah, they do expect the best service, which we try to provide obviously at all times. We have a marketing place here. We have done a strong marketing promotion because we have had the improvements made within the pub, and we have tried to accommodate all the markets as well, because we have the pub which we have promoted, and we have the hotel bar, as I was saying earlier, and we also have a restaurant, so we have to have different identities like the other places as well. So I try to accommodate every side of the business for the leisure guests as much as we could. COVID regulations, we have been in place. We also have one of the heads of department being a COVID champion. So we try to take everything very serious, and we have weekly walk-arounds, we do checklists. So we have to try to encourage guests and to show that we are fully committed to the COVID regulations. Even though it seems to be all over that people forget that we are still doing COVID for some reason. And we still have to chase people to wear masks. It's shocking if you think about, yeah, honestly, in 2021, after everything we've been through, we are also on the verge of being extended with the period at the moment. We still don't realize that we are still doing COVID, which is shocking. So luckily, Sally, who is our spa manager, she's also the COVID champion, chasing people around and everybody to be wearing their masks and sanitizing their hands and everything. So that's quite great. We have managed to keep all our team in place, and we have kept the sales department, which has proven a success for us. And Emma, like you said as well, Chris, she has done brilliantly, and we have managed to create a base for the corporate market, which has helped us throughout as well. And that's what we've tried to do so far.
Fantastic. Mirdo, thanks so much for taking us through that. And well done for battling through technology there as well.
Yeah, we have some issues. It's hardly to even get 3G network here. I have to make I have to climb on the roof, then jump, and then I have to make my phone calls climbing on the table. Yeah, it's quite challenging.
You did that amazingly well, but you didn't have to twirl, so that was a good thing. Yeah. Well, maybe not. We probably would like to see you twirl, actually.
Yeah. If it's a jump,
So Mirdo, you touched on recruitment, and crikey, in our business, we're definitely noticing this as a challenge. And as you say, it's been all over the press and media. All of a sudden, there's no chefs out there. I think I might even start cooking myself, although I probably wouldn't be trusted in the kitchen. Tell me, what do you think the?
So I think you've frozen again after the chef's part. I apologize for my connection. After the chef's part.
Oh, okay. It was a rubbish joke. So tell me. Tell me, what do you think we need to do as an industry to find brand new, exciting people and make hospitality a place where people want to come and work?
I think we haven't expected, because if you'll ask me in lockdown, because I was here throughout, I was talking with my colleagues, and like, we have changed people throughout. It wasn't just more of us. And I have to raise my hands for the mistake. We've all been saying that we will be able to pick and choose from staff. That's what we thought throughout. And we said, oh, we're going to be in such a good position. We will be able to choose. So don't worry, there's going to be so much people out there. We're going to have such a brilliant team. And it hit us like a train, I swear. Like, for example, I'm a waiter now. I'm running breakfast and everything. That's how hard it is, which I enjoy loving. Don't get me wrong. There's like free gym benefits right there. So by 12 o'clock, my steps target is over exceeded like twice. Yeah, so
every cloud.
I have to go make some coffees now, if you'll excuse me 2 minutes. But no, but it is horrendous. So we should pray, because we personally at Lea Marston, we haven't expected it to be so challenging. Mm-hmm. So we are trying now to reassess the adverts we do to make it more challenging, to improve the offer. We are trying to increase the pay and to make it more appealing.
Okay.
Problem is, I've spoken with at least 5 or 6 agencies. I've tried Friends, I've tried Connections, I've tried LinkedIn, Facebook. Literally, the last thing I haven't done is try to pinch somebody from other hotels or just go around and knock on people.
We haven't got any, Mirdo, don't worry.
If they want a job, they haven't done, which is on my list for next week also. Don't. It's just agencies that I was saying, they said they can't literally find anyone, which is horrendous. Before, if you called an agency, everybody can tell you within half an hour you could have someone. We were supposed to have 2 chefs starting this Saturday. They haven't even turned up.
Yeah.
So this is what we are facing, and we had a full occupancy. So yeah, it's been hectic. So we should probably play with the adverts, increase the pay, which is hard at the moment because you don't know what you're expecting. You still have to review, revise, and repeat at the moment. We don't even understand the market as it is at the moment. Guests don't seem to understand us. There's no empathy with all the respect, which there should be. So I think we're still in a stage where, because I was trying to avoid speaking about World War II, but this is the last time we have been in the same situation with everything being shut for so long. Yeah. We haven't experienced anything like this before. So we try to mark operation we don't even know at the moment. So that's the toughest bit. So also, tough. I don't think people want to do the industry as much as they would before. Mm-hmm. So that's the challenge. Brexit has been a massive impact. COVID happened at the same time, hasn't helped at all because both happening together. It's been horrendous. So we're still trying to figure out what we should do, to be honest, because it's very hard to know what people want. Sure. Because nobody comes back to you saying, at least, or giving you a feedback, oh, if you'd give me more money or if you'd give me more reasonable hours, there's no request for you to play with.
Yeah.
That's the biggest challenge. So we are trying to accommodate or try things which we don't know if that's what the market wants. And stuff, I mean.
It's interesting because all 3 of your businesses, like you've been, like we said earlier, like you've come up with some incredible innovative ideas that have increased demand and got people coming back. But then as a consequence, it's like, oh, now we need like loads of infrastructure and if anything more, because you're growing and doing more. And so you've got this dichotomy. It's crikey, it's a great case study, if nothing else, in 5 years' time.
I think the short-term problem is exactly as Mirdo says. The short-term problem is huge. There's a long-term, solution, and we've got to do it as an industry. We've got to show that it's a more attractive industry. It's got a bad reputation. Split shifts, working every night, long hours, and it's not like that anymore. Yes, it used to be, but I don't think we've got the message out as an industry for it to become a career. People will do it at 16, 17, and then and their parents don't see it as a career. They say, well, you're just doing that until you go to university, or while you're earning money at university. You know, what are you going to do as a proper job? You know, they don't see it as a route to a career, you know. Right. And when you look at how many different, you know, Katie, particularly at the Belfry, how many different little mini industries are in a hotel, you know, with chefs and spa and housekeeping and receptionists and marketing and sales, you know, it's massive, you know, and all those ancillary careers or jobs or whatever, the parents don't even think about those. They just think it's a, you know, a job while you're at university and then go and find a proper job. They don't view it as a career. And quite often people come and say, oh, I didn't know you had a marketing department, or I didn't know you had IT. Yeah. You know, they just think it's waiting on tables and that's it. You know, that's the end of it. So I think we have to, as an industry, get the message out there that it's not long hours anymore. It's not split shifts, you know, they're straight shifts. Working conditions are a lot better. It's not a chef standing yelling at you anymore. You can't do that anymore. And we haven't got the message out there.
No, good point. I have loads more questions, but I'm only allowed to ask one more. And so
you can use some of mine if you want.
I have one for Katie. So you talked about virtual tours, and the question came in from Louise about virtual tours. And so I thought that was interesting and pick it up. And, you know, we have one of our own wedding venues over in Shropshire, and crikey, I remember walking around with like a video camera like this and going, I promise it's lovely. Like, tell me, like, how did you address it? Like, how did you come up with the material? How did you get it out there? And one of my points is kind of like, how did you communicate such a different offer in a different way? How did you go about that?
So we have got the virtual tour. So I saw what Louisa from. So we had the virtual tour, so people can go and see. You know, we got our marketing department to get that up and running, and so that was great. However, people still want to see the hotel for real. So it's a fantastic tool to have. And we wanted it before COVID just to make, because we found it's very difficult to do show rounds of the hotel when the hotel is full. So when our meeting space is full, we can't bring anyone to tour. And because our meeting rooms are full, occupancy of the full is 4 days a week, we're full in the meeting rooms. So we were really struggling. So that's what we needed. Okay, listen, and it'll be a lot quicker and it's safe on the environment, better, all of that way, to offer virtual tours to people who can't come up here. Obviously then during COVID, it really came into play. But people still want to see, you know, they want to see a room live, and they want to see a room with people moving in it. So a virtual tour is a tool. It's not the answer to everything. So when we had the team on site, we actually had people doing, you know, live, you know, WhatsApp video tours of the hotel. But it certainly doesn't work for weddings at all. And the corporate, it does, but they still say, but I still want to come and see it. And that's what we find. So it's a great, do you know what? It's replaced the brochure.
Okay.
It's replaced the actual brochure. It hasn't replaced the commitment to buy. That's the difference.
And, you know, I think that's possibly a good way to conclude it, because essentially we're a people business, aren't we? And people buy from people. It's all about hospitality. Be kind to other people. They'll be kind back, and they'll buy from you.
Absolutely.
And if anything else, like the virtual tour is, we're embracing technology, and it's an additional touch point and contact point, and a great way to bring it to life. But again, we're a people business, so let's go and find some more people, and good luck with all your exciting and new innovative ways. And then Chris, I think you're going to kick us off with some networking now, aren't you? But thank you again to everyone. It was incredible to chat to you, and really interesting to hear from your business. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. That was a really interesting discussion and some really good questions. And we have got some networking that we're going to move into now.